What happens if CGC damages your books? Let's find out. Okay, so this video is about a lot of people. We had a discussion, Comic Joel and I had a discussion a while ago, actually, about how I was nervous about sending really nice books to CGC for their signing events. And if so, just because what happens if it gets damaged or something? Well, we had an issue come up. Comic Joel has something to talk about. We're going to kind of talk about it for probably about a 10-minute video. So if you're really nervous or concerned about what happens in these situations, I really suggest that you watch this video. So before we start, if you don't know Comic Joel, it's Comic Joel. And
I'm Comic Joel.
He said he sends a lot of books to get signed. He's been doing it for a while. So Joel, why don't you kind of tell everybody like that at first, what you've been doing for the last year?
I'm sure a lot of people know that CGC has been doing artist signings. So what you do is you pay one lump sum per book, and you send it to CGC. They have the artist sign it there. They grade it, and then it's supposed to be a little bit faster turnaround because it's a special thing. So I've been doing that because they have been all through 2022. They've been having artists that I like a lot. So I've sent off hundreds of books to get signed by artists, and I pretty much always send modern books because I look at these books, under extreme light. I carefully look at all the corners, all the spines, everything, make sure they're perfect. Because, especially because the artist has to sign it and stuff, there's always that chance that the artist itself, is going to mess with things. But
let me interject. Most of these books, I would say half or more, somewhere in that area, Joel buys from me.
Yeah.
He'll come over and say, hey, I got a Peach Momoko signing, or I got a Adam Hughes or something. And we'll go through my back issues and see the ones he like. And then I personally grade it too in front of him because we want him only to submit 9/8. Now, some of you guys might go, Bill, or, these people that don't watch the channel and they're watching it based on the title of the video. I've been grading books for a long time. I know what I'm doing when it comes to sending in 9/8, especially on modern. It's not that hard to do. But we have both pre-screened these same books over and over before he sends them in. I just want to make that point.
Yeah, well, I mean, the sheer quantity, I'll send in like 20 books at a time. And, Comic Bill looks them over. He makes sure that he thinks they're a 9/8. I give them to him, or I buy them from him. I look them over again just to make sure that everything's fine. And so I'll send off like 20 books and they'll all come back 9/8 because they're modern books that, they're not usually not beat up to begin with. But so everything has been going pretty smoothly. You send off 20 books. Most of the time I'm getting all 9/8. Every once in a while I'll get a 9/6. You can't help that because, things happen. The artist might accidentally do something to it. Who knows? So, but yeah, really never got anything less than a 9/6 for a signature CGC.
So Joel, I don't know if this is important or not, or if you don't mind saying, but I mean, you've literally spent thousands and thousands of dollars doing this.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
yeah, because so CGC charges generally 80, 90, $100 per book. So if I send off 20 books, that's 20,000
bucks or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have a pretty good track record over there too of hitting those 9/8 goals, a random 9/6 here.
Well, I don't first of all, I don't send in nobody sends beat up modern age books. That's ridiculous. But I personally don't have like golden age stuff anyway, so it's all modern.
And you won't buy the modern from me if there's one tick on it. You will not.
No, yeah, because
we really look them over. So in this case, what was this current signing that you sent off for, and what happened?
So this was the most recent one was J. Scott Campbell, and this one I sent off 19 books, and obviously we look them over. They're all perfect condition when I send them. I wrap these things in so much bubble wrap. They go in a big cardboard box, tons of padding. And this particular one, because 19 is kind of a lot of books, I put I put 10 books together, wrapped it in bubble wrap, put it in the box, and then the other 9 books did the same thing, wrapped in a ton of bubble wrap, put it in the box, and then sent it off. So when it comes back, the 10 books that were the first set of 10 books that were together all came back 9.8. The second set of 10 books that were all together, it was very obvious that somebody at CGC dropped that whole stack on the corner, because every single book had the same exact corner crunch along the top left corner. And of course, I do the thing like a lot of people do, where you put one this way and then one this way and one this way, so that way to protect the covers a little more. So it's half of them were all the top left corner crunch, and then the other half were all the bottom right corner crunch.
Okay,
but they're all the exact same corner crunch, and these are all, we've looked these over. These are all 9.8s. They're very well protected. They're modern books.
I gave them all. I mean, most of these books I gave you. The J. Scott Campbell's I gave him, and he came over into this room, and we got the light, and dude, I'm a psycho.
So these things came back with such a severe corner crunch. It's very obvious. Nobody would miss that. And the big thing too is that 2 of them were 80-page giants. So the amount of damage you have to do to crunch the corner of an 80-page giant, I don't know what.
Now, one was a metal as well, correct?
Sorry, what?
One of them was a metal.
Yeah, I was about to get to that. So 2 of them were 80-page giants, and another one was a metal cover. So that's pretty severe damage to crunch the corner of a metal comic book. That I'm assuming it had to have dropped on the floor. So now, I contacted CGC and complained about this.
Let's before you get to that, because I want everyone to understand these people that are going to watch this video and their concerns. We got to go through the steps. So they were all damaged, but before that, they didn't say anything to you.
No.
And they got them all graded.
Yeah. Yep.
So when you got them back, you had 10, like you said, on the one pack were all 9.8s.
Yep. The
second pack all had damage on one corner or the other based on how they were stacked. They all fell one direction, and they graded them anyway.
Yep. So they all came back 9.0, 9.2, and a couple of them came back 9.4. But yeah, they all had the exact same corner crunch. And these are modern books, and this was an expensive signing. I think it was $90 a book. Nobody's sending off a 9.0 comic to get a modern 9.0 comic to get signed by J. Scott Campbell. These were all clearly 9.8s to begin with. And it's very obvious to me that somebody at CGC, whoever opened the box, dropped the bundle on the ground or something and crunched that corner. Because if the box had gotten damaged in shipping, the amount of it would have had to been crushed in. That corner of that box would have been so crushed in.
Both packs would have been crushed.
The what?
Both packs probably would have had damage on them.
Yeah, either that or but even if if they're stuck in there like this, and I suppose one corner of the box could be completely crushed in, because this is 80-page giants and a metal cover. The amount of damage you'd have to really crush that box, and it would be so noticeable. And yet, so that's why I think it was an employee at CGC, because it's CGC's policy. If they get a box that's crushed, they immediately are supposed to contact whoever sent it and say, this shit got damaged. Did you have insurance or whatever? So they obviously didn't do that, which leads me to believe that's an employee at CGC. Whoever was handling those books, taking them out of the box, getting them ready for the signing or whatever, it dropped them.
Now, there's 2 concerns before we keep going. Number one is, you were telling me that they sent the metal back raw.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. They said it was too damaged and sent it back raw.
Okay. So they clearly
knew it was damaged.
Yeah.
And refused to take responsibility for it.
The other thing is, I've had people complain about this stuff and, over and over, and had it work where they got some credit. So can you tell me what you did?
So, yeah. So I immediately, the next day after I got the box, I called CGC, and I was obviously mad. And I told them, look, half of these comics are damaged. I should have been notified. It's ridiculous to have, if the box was damaged, they should have immediately notified me and said, look, the box arrived damaged. Do you want to do an insurance claim? Because, you paid to have it insured there and back and everything. And so I could have been like, well, how bad are the comics? Maybe grade just the bundle. It's not fucked up or whatever. But Instead, nobody contacted me. So then they go ahead and just grade them all. So what I wanted was to get a refund on the 8 damaged books. Now that's obviously that's a lot of money. I've spent so much with CGC; it should be nothing to them. But even at that point, I was willing to take just the refund on the 4 most damaged and the 1 raw book that they didn't even grade. So I don't know why they shouldn't have charged me for that raw book in the first place because they didn't grade it. So what exactly was the $90 for at that point? But anyways, so I emailed them, and they're the first, or I called them on the phone, talked with somebody, and they said, well, we'll email the higher ups and get a response. So the first response, they gave me this boilerplate. Sorry, we don't, we have no idea that they weren't sent all fucked up, so we can't do anything for you. And so I had to call them the next day again, spoke to a different person, said, look, these are, look at my track record. I told them, look at all the orders I sent. They all come back 9.8s. The lady on the phone's looking up my order history and she says, oh, wow, you order a lot of stuff. They're all signings. They all come back 9.8. And I'm like, look, this is clearly you guys fucked something up here. And one of them came back raw and fucked up. And so this lady was much more receptive. And she said, oh, okay. So she wrote up this whole thing and sent it off to the higher ups. And so the next day I get an email back and they said, we've decided we'll credit you just for that 1 raw book that's damaged. And so, at this point, and I've already sent several emails, and so they just straight screwed me because.
So this is my take on what happened. They got the books in. If it was damaged immediately right out of shipment, I think maybe they would have said something when they.
Oh yeah, it would have been so noticeable.
My point is, if they pulled it out of the box, right, and they set it down and dropped it right then, it's possible they would have notified you. But what I think happened was it got all the way to the signing. And I don't know if you've ever seen CGC booths at con or stuff, and they stacked that shit up, right? So what I believe happened was something happened where it tipped and it went like that, and it just
it had to have fallen from a good distance because you can't crush the corner of a metal.
But if you think about it, if you have 10 books, it's a decent enough amount of weight that even from a table down, you can destroy the books.
Yeah, so, that's what I'm saying. It had to have fallen off of a table because it can't just be a tilt.
So wherever it happened, though,
the other option too is that whoever the CGC employee was, when they took it out of the box, they dropped it and they're like, "Oh shit, I don't want to be responsible for that," and so then they just sent them off.
And that's a big problem because, for a couple reasons, they should notify you. I've had people where they got notes back saying it was damaged in shipping. And they got charged, and then they said, well, you have this note in here that was damaged. I want my money back. And then they would go through it and they give the money back. But the problem here I see is that they went ahead. Someone knew. Yeah. One person knew. And they let it go through. And for what? Let's say a measly, well, it's not measly, but about $1,000 worth of books.
Yeah.
Of signings, about 10 books. They wanted that $1,000 apparently, even though they're making a ton. So they just said, screw it. Let's slab it. It's cheaper for us to slab it, get it done, sign, and get our money and send it to this guy and just say no over and over. Yeah. Then just say, look, we damaged these books. We will credit you for the insurance that you claimed on the books. Instead of going through the whole slabbing, signing, where you pay for all of it, they say, oh shit, we just damaged these. He's got $10 a book on here, $15 a book, or whatever you put.
They're modern books. They're all less than $10 a book.
Yeah, so they would have. They rather, instead of doing that and refunding you maybe, $50 to $100,
which I'm sure they have insurance to cover that, so it's not like nothing out of their pocket.
You literally pay for it when you send it in.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have to enter it in. And so instead they said, go. We need that 1,000 apparently, and we'll deal with it later. I would be extremely furious if I sent in that. And for the next part is the customer is always right.
Yeah.
Period. I deal with it all the time. The post office damaged. I got my package today. It was damaged. It's showing me destroyed package. That is not my fault. But I still take care of them every single time. If someone finds one tick and they say, oh, there's a tick, I can say, well, that's a 9.6. Oh, is there 2 ticks? Oh, it's a 9.4. I don't say all that. I do. I'll type it. Look, that's still over a 9.4, but I'm going to credit you, or I'm going to send you another one, because that's how a business is supposed to be run.
Well, I mean, the basic customer service. So obviously I wanted a refund on 8. That's a lot of money. I get it. I would have accepted a refund on the 4 most damaged. I would have even accepted if somebody just talked to me and said, look, that's like $400. Can we do half? Would you take 200? I mean, anything just to, but no, they refused to do anything except the one book that they didn't grade, which they should never have charged me for in the first
place. They knew they made that mistake where they charge you for something.
Well,
they never
I
did.
have the book right here if you want to see it.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I just don't understand how a giant company. I'm not trying to attack CGC, but you guys, you have choices, right? But if you want to get this certificate, I'm gonna have an answer to this video at the end of this to tell you what to do to save yourself from what Joel went through. But the problem is this needs to be talked about so that the higher ups can hear it and say, who dealt with this guy?
Well, they should also,
why did this happen like this?
They should tell you when you send in your books, you print off all this paperwork. They should be in big, bold letters. Take photos of all your books before you send them in.
That's the secret.
Yeah.
So
that's, how was I supposed to know? I mean, these are modern books. They're like $5 a book. Why would they just tell me if they got them damaged?
I understand that. They should be responsible to tell you. They should, honestly, when they receive them, they should open it up and say everything looks okay.
Yeah.
But
in my mind, there's no way you can open up this box and look at these books and see corner crunches on a metal comic and 80-page giants and not realize something was damaged. I mean,
why don't you show us that you have the metal in your hand right now?
Yeah, I have the metal one in my hand.
Go ahead and show us.
This is the only comic that I sent in that actually was pretty valuable to begin with because it's a metal cover. So this, I think I paid $100 for this. This is it's pretty rare too. It may have been worth more than 100. So this is
oh my God. I already saw it, I think.
Yeah. So
I thought it was just bent a little bit. That thing.
No, it's bad. I'll take it out of the thing too. So this book may have been worth more than $100 to begin with, just because it's very rare virgin metal cover. And I mean,
well, take it out. I want to see it. Take it out.
Yeah,
Let's see it.
Yeah. So the amount of damage here is ridiculous.
I thought it was just bent a little bit.
This is a metal cover, and it's been crushed into the comic.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's falling off of a table at least, because this is a metal friggin' cover.
Yeah, that hit.
I don't even know how you get that kind of damage. I mean, that's severe.
And I mean, that's just to show you, like, we can all look at paper corners, but look, do you think Comic Joel, okay, Mr. Moneybags with his freaking big ass giant dong thingy right there, flossing all his stuff, would send in a metal that looked like that to get signed? Who
send in a book that damaged? I mean, especially a modern. I get it if it was a golden age comic. Yeah, people send in pork in it, but this is a modern book, and it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, but especially that metal, that's crazy. So
and they sent it back like that. So I mean, somebody saw it. Somebody knew.
Yeah. And so this stuff needs to be called out regardless of any company. It doesn't have to look. It's not just against CGC. What I'm saying is you guys need to take pictures of the front and back of all your comics that you submit to any of those. That's the first rule. Okay. Do that, date it, store it, be done with it. So that you have some sort of action, but they should be responsible enough and a good enough company to say, you know what? I'm sorry. We appreciate your business. They see your business. You said $10,000, $20,000 in signings. Thank you for your business. Something went wrong somewhere. It's clearly on our end. We will go ahead and refund you. But no, they put it in the pile and they got it signed. I'm sure J. Scott Campbell looked at that book.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet he looked at that metal and go, really? I mean, the other ones probably would pass. He probably didn't even care. But when the metal, he's probably like, what the?
Yeah, well, it doesn't even sit flat anymore at that point.
It's a little ramp. So
he's like having to sign it at an angle because it's so fucked up.
So the moral, I guess, is, well, there's a bunch of different morals, but
Yeah.
I do think that as the supposed #1 grading company in the world for comic books and a valued customer, even a one-time customer, they should refund you immediately without question, or say, can you send some pictures? Oh, yes. That doesn't make any sense. We've looked at your track record. Why would you do that? Why, use some brains and keep business. So what it like, I
Well,
haven't really,
mean,
I haven't asked you, but what have you decided to do since this, Joel?
Yeah, well, so I've spent thousands of dollars in 2022 getting all kinds of signings done, and they've lost me as a customer. It's over a couple $100. I'm not going to use them anymore. It's too infuriating when it's clearly their fault. They refuse to take any kind of responsibility. They won't even negotiate a partial refund on some. Give me a couple of bucks off per slab or whatever that they fucked up on it. No. And also the quantity that I'm sending in, I'm sending in 20, 30 books a time. Who has time to sit there and photograph the front and back and corner of every single book?
Well,
That's a
you have
lot
to weigh that.
On $5 modern books, $10 modern books, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, we have to weigh that option though, depending on what it is. I mean,
yeah, no.
Considering this, it's like $100 a signature on a book, $100, almost $100 for a J. Scott Campbell signed signature series book, and you're sending in 20. That's $2,000.
Yeah,
and
for sure. Yeah,
that's 40 pictures.
So yes, obviously, I could have taken photographs of everything prior.
Yes.
However, I will say nowhere does it say in all the shit that you're filling out, all the paperwork. Nowhere does it say this. You should do this. Nowhere does it say in the event we get your books and fuck them up, we won't claim any responsibility unless you have photos. If they had said that somewhere, I would have.
I don't understand. What's the point of insurance?
Yeah, I don't know. And so when they told me the most they would do is refund me for that one Vampirella book, I said, well, I insured the book for $100. Can I do an insurance claim? And it said, nope, sorry. On their end, they couldn't determine that the package was damaged. So I'm just out.
There are other options. I don't know exactly how you paid, but I know a lot of people when they pay
with a credit card. But
so you can do it. Can't you charge back them?
I could try and do a credit card chargeback. However, I don't know what the success rate of doing something like that is. That's pretty low, I would imagine.
Do you think it's worth a try? I mean, look, they've lost your business. Basically, they're not going to. That's what you're saying. I'm not saying everyone should. Look, I understand. Again, it affects people differently. For you, it's lost your business. For me, like, I'm so frustrated with CBCS right now. I'm contemplating sending in stuff to CGC again, right? So I'm up and down. But in your case, it's so infuriating that you've lost it. They've lost your business. So, seriously, in most situations like this, when people do use credit card, they get their money back through the credit card. Said, I paid for this, and this is not the service I got, and whatever. That is an option, I think. Your last line. You've tried everything else.
Yeah, no, I could certainly. I might try it.
I don't know. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments of this video. Please let us know.
Has this happened to other people? I know it's happened to other people, but like anybody that's watching this right now.
Or yeah, comment something where you might know somebody that works there that Joel might be able to get in contact with to escalate the issue or whatever. But it's look, I'm going to tell you right now personally, I looked at all Joel's books before he sent them. I look at them all before he sends almost every one of those. Half of them he buys for me. He doesn't buy it if there's one. We're looking at it under light with glasses. If there is one problem, it is not getting. It's not going out because he doesn't want.
That's the big thing. They're modern books, so what's the point if you don't get a 9.8 back? It's.
So if you what do you guys think? Look, I think personally, my end game for this is they're responsible. Yes, Joel should have taken pictures, but I think as a good business practices is the customer's always right. And especially for a customer like Joel, they should have just not even thought about it.
Yeah, especially because just a few days ago, I get an email saying, oh, like all these, CGC books sold for millions of dollars and record breaking. I'm like, So what's a couple $100 to them? It shouldn't be anything, especially, I get it. If this was the only order I did for the entire year, that's a kind of a big loss for them if they have to give me half my money back. But, this is one of dozens of signings I've done. In fact, I have the paperwork right here. This is how many signings I do. So each one of these is a signing. Different. These are all, 15, 20 books a pop. Every single one of these.
And they're not normal submissions.
So
they're not normal submissions either. They are.
They're all the signature ones.
Signing events, which are the most expensive ones.
Yep.
So, well, Joel, I'm sorry to hear that. I think it's funny that we talked about it before, and it actually happened.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if we jinxed that, but if you guys know anybody that could help Joel long term, or know anyone there that's watching this video, please comment in the video. We'd love to hear your opinions, and it's just another negative thing to report, I guess, this time. But we wanted to inform you on how to maybe you should be safer, at least take some pictures, post date it, put it in a file.
So the other thing is, even if I had taken photos, would they still tell me to go pound sand, or would they actually say, "Oh, these"? Because the photo, I
think it makes a difference.
What they're claiming is that I sent in damaged books. So
that's right.
Why couldn't I take photos of all these books, and then they could still be like, "Well, you took those photos before they were damaged." I mean, what are those? The photos don't really prove anything.
If half of them of the photos are all 9/8, and then you sent them in, and then the other half of your pictures are all damaged, and they're getting 9.4s, 9.2s, 9.0s, say, look, that's what I sent you.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless, I think it's the best way to go forward in that case until they decide that the customer is always right. But until then, what's the important purpose of insurance? If they're not going to do any type of checking there, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm sorry, bro, and I hope it worked out. So you guys let us know in the comments what you think, and we'll see you later.